former Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy. Mr. Speaker, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me on.
So, the Wall Street Journal editorial board summed it up like this, quote, "Pity House Speaker Mike Johnson, who's struggling to keep his caucus together as vulnerable members prioritize their own survival. Democrats laid a political trap for Republicans with the expiring subsidies, and 4 renegades have fallen into it." But the Republicans who crossed the aisle indicated that it was Johnson who forced their hand by refusing to put a bipartisan bill on the floor. Listen here.
Somebody making $600,000 should not be getting their health care subsidized by the American people. There needs to be insurance reforms.
We exhausted every effort to find an agreement within our conference. If folks chose not to find a path forward, they left us with no option but to sign that 3-year discharge.
So if anyone knows exactly the position Mike Johnson's in, it's you. When you were watching all of this play out, what were you thinking? Has the Speaker handled this issue the right way?
Look, the Speaker's doing a very good job, and this is a very difficult job. I had a small majority. He has a very small majority. The challenge that I'm looking at is you have to refocus, because there have been more discharge petitions in the last 3 weeks than there have been in 30 years. And what discharge petition actually turns the floor over to the minority. When you're in the majority, you can control what comes. And if you're in the majority, these 4 that signed on, they are the majority makers. They are sitting in seats that Republicans do not win. If they don't run for re-election, you don't keep your majority. So what you need to have in the majority, find a way that solves everybody's problem. This whole election coming up is going to be about the economy and health care. I think you can find an ability, because you've shown Obamacare is not working. These were subsidies that were added during COVID. This isn't attacking everybody's health care plan. There's a better way to go forward, but you need a bridge. And if you're in the majority, you could put the Democrats in a tougher position. Find a bill that unites you and pulls Democrats over to join. You don't want to wait to the last minute either, because when you wait to the very last minute, there are very few options. I think when you look back, when Democrats shut the government down, keeping those members out of Washington for 2 months when you could have been working on different things like that, I think that's a place that you could find improvement on.
You already answered my next question, which was, would you have kept Congress out for almost 8 weeks? But to your earlier point about these discharge petitions, compared to the years 2011 to 2022, there was only 1 discharge petition that succeeded in that period of time. In the last Congress, there were 4 that succeeded on the ACA, the Epstein files, federal collective bargaining, and proxy voting for new parents. Does that indicate in your mind that Johnson has lost control of the House?
You can't put this on Johnson, because it's too small of a majority. What it shows is the Republican Party not working together. And I'm watching this outside of the Republican Party at these conferences fighting. And remember what Lincoln told us: a house divided cannot stand. If you want to maintain the majority, you first have to utilize it, right? So if you only get the majority for 2 years and you keep people out for 2 months, the Democrats win those 2 months, because those 2 months less. And if you understand how to pass a bill, you got to have a hearing, then you got to have a markup, then you got to be able to pass it in committee before it comes. So you lost a lot of time here. Yeah. And that's the part you don't want to lose. I would bring the whole conference together, even if you have to shut things down, and put everybody in the room together and focus. They will only be successful if they stay together and they learn that they have to give to each other's sides. It is not an easy job. It's not an easy task. But if they look at individually, they will fail in this process.
Yeah. Republicans, to your point, don't seem quite yet unified on where this goes next. You have the Speaker of the House saying that a reconciliation package next year could be the solution. The Ways and Means Chairman saying he doesn't see a path for reconciliation, which is, not a nothing statement. Are you worried at all that the president could lose his majority over this issue? Because just as he's trying to cast himself as the affordability president, you have these premiums skyrocketing, and the latest Fox polls show this. 90% of voters are extremely or very concerned about inflation and high prices. That's the most in over 2 years, including 61% who are extremely concerned. That's up from 48% in June. Healthcare is a big piece of that. 86% are concerned about healthcare, 55% extremely concerned. And all of this while 4 times as many people feel like they're falling behind financially as say that they're getting ahead. And if you look back to 2018, 25 of the 30 Republicans who lost their seats had voted to repeal the ACA. You were majority leader at the time. You watched Paul Ryan hand over the gavel over this issue. What should happen to prevent that from happening again?
Well, I would actually give President Trump the credit. He's the only one that's really worked on health care during this short time period. He has lowered prescription drugs. He looked at an ability to do something about this ACA where it has a bridge until you're able to do new health care plan overall. I don't think they're going to get to a reconciliation. I think that's a pretty difficult vote to do, especially in an election year. I think what needs to happen here, I would ratify some of the things that President Trump has done in the executive orders. Lock in those savings and go tell the American public. But healthcare has been a challenge always for Republicans, especially when it comes to politics. I've watched the president really focus on this and focus on individuals, make sure there wasn't cuts to Medicare, make sure the pharmaceutical prices come down. That's been his focus. I think Congress should follow some of that. And the one thing I would say here is, remember, this is broken based upon what the Democrats have done. The Democrats are the ones who added this subsidy and picked the date when it was going to fall out. You have to win the argument before you can win the vote. You could have been messaging that, putting a health care plan. You can't just put 1 or 2 bills at the last day.
Yeah.
You need a health care plan, and that takes a lot of time to plan. Lay out to the American public how your health care plan would be better than Obamacare,
okay,
but get out of this repeal and replace. We have already lost the majority after that.
All right, we're going to talk about that very thing next with Joe Manchin, but Kevin McCarthy, former Speaker of the House, really appreciate you coming on and your sage advice this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and I wish you all a very Merry Christmas.
You as well, sir.